Hello everyone, Via here. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the high-grade Gundam Calibarn from The Witch from Mercury. Geez, how long has it been since I've done a Gundam review? Quite a while, but we're going to do it again here because this kit rocks, and I have some things to say about it. So here on the front of the box, you can see we have a absolutely beautiful picture of the Calibarn in a pose. It looks awesome. You got the logo there and kind of Calibarn on the bottom. Some shots of the finished kit that look basically straight built. Yeah, it says unpainted here. On the side, you got the same box art as on the front. On the top, you got some information on our pilot Suleta, as well as some information on the show itself and some more pictures, as well as warnings, and nothing on the back because it's a Gundam box. So before we get into the actual mobile suit itself, we will talk a little bit about the plastic that you get in here. So I believe this is 6 runners in total. Our A sprue here is multicolor. You've got mainly gray with a 1 green part there, some yellow and red. This is runner B, done entirely in gray. Runner C, which I've got right here, is all in white. You have duplicates, so you have D1 and D2 are also in white. This one here, runner E, is in smoky clear, and we'll touch on these two pieces in a little bit. This is an option that you get that we'll talk about later. And our last runner is not really a runner, but it's our beam sabers done in that really pretty clear blue. So that's all of the runners you get in the box. So let's take a look first at the accessories, and then we'll get into the Calibarn itself. So for the accessories you get for this kit, our very first thing is you get one of these very simple sprueless stands. These are just 4 parts that come together. You snip them apart and put them together like this. These come with some high grades. I wish they came with every high grade because it's always nice to get some kind of stand, even if you can get nicer ones from other places. It's nice to just have something, especially for a Gundam like this that is mainly seen flying through space. So that is included with this kit. You only get 1 pair of hands in here. You get these kind of standard high-grade blocky fist holding hands. These are the only hand options you get out of the box, but there is an option set for the aerial that includes a wide open hand that will match with this kit. As we mentioned earlier, you get a pair of beam sabers. They have pretty standard looking square white handles, but they come in these really pretty blue beams that the Witch from Mercury suits have been doing. I really like the color used for these beam sabers, and they are the flat style blades that you would see in stuff like Gundam 00 kits and mobile suits. I really like these beam sabers a lot. Here you have the escutcheon, aka the shield, made up of the bit staves for the Calibarn. This is the exact same escutcheon that came with the aerial rebuild. I don't have that kit to compare it, but sculpting wise, it's the exact same thing, just done all in white with a little bit of gray there and that green sticker there. These little tips here, you can kind of tell the difference there, are stickers. These are the only color correcting stickers on the entire kit, is these right here. I applied them because I didn't have like a white Gundam marker or anything on hand to color correct them myself. It's a bit unfortunate, it doesn't look that good. Eventually I'll get a white Gundam marker, I'll take those off and paint it. If you watch Mecha Guy Katsu's review, he actually just left those off completely and didn't paint anything. And it still looks fine, it just wasn't entirely accurate because the tip is supposed to be white. But you don't have to use those if you don't want to, that's just an option. We'll talk more about this once we get into the features, because this does a lot. The shields in this series are really incredible. And of course, you have your main weapon for the Gundam Calibarn. This is the variable rod rifle, aka the broomstick that gives the show its namesake, the Witch from Mercury. We'll get into everything that this does a little bit later on, but this is a very cool rifle that actually attaches using an arm to the mobile suit. It's got 2 handles here at the front, this one on the side that flips out, this one on the top that flips out like that. And the back here can extend like that, as well as each of these 4 thruster pieces are on hinges that flip out and can spread open like that. And you can see a lot of green in there, a lot of green stickers, a lot of These are all foil type stickers that don't really hold in very well. Bandai, please make some kind of green metallic Gundam marker, because this isn't great. And I'll touch on this when we talk about the stickers. This was not fun at all. This is the worst part about the kit. But yeah, so I think that's about it for now. We'll get that attached to the Calibarn in a little bit. For now, let's just move this out of the way. Yeah, these come off as well. We'll move this out of the way and we'll talk about the Calibarn itself. So here is our Gundam Calibarn, all built up. This is straight built completely. I haven't done really anything to this kit. I didn't panel line. I didn't even do that good of a job cleaning up the nub marks. So this is exactly what you will get if you just straight build it. And I love how this looks. The G-Witch line has been fantastic. Every kit that I've built from this line has been super fun and really solid by the end. And I think the Calibarn might be the best one of the line. You can see up here you have that beautiful rainbow permit score there from the finale of the show, which I haven't actually seen yet, but you know, I'll get to it eventually. These are option parts. These come on a runner. I forgot to mention the before, this is runner F. This only has 2 parts on it, and this goes back to these gray parts that I was talking about. You can see these just are the rainbow V-fin as well as the top chest unit. All of the other shell units here that you see in the legs, in the shoulders, even this lower part of the chest here, those are a sticker underneath a clear part. However, this top one here is printed on there. It's actually painted silver and then printed on, so it looks super shiny. It reflects the light a lot. Same with the V-fin up here. The rainbow looks really, really cool. But you do get the option of, included on the sticker sheet, you can see you do get black versions of all of your rainbow stickers. So, as well as an option here for the rifle that doesn't have the green in the front barrel. You can get gray instead. Just mentioning quickly the other stickers you get. You do get green head cameras and green eyes, as well as some pink eyes down here. I didn't use any of these because the green part in the head is already color accurate for both the eyes, the front head camera, and the back head camera. And I don't like using head camera stickers when I don't have to. And thankfully this kit is color correct. However, these will be a little bit shinier. And if you want those purple eyes or those pink eyes, you're going to have to use those stickers. Everything else that you see on here that isn't used is just black versions of the rainbow ones. So you can use these black stickers as well as these 2 pieces here to get a permit score like deactivated effect if you want to do that. So that is why these 2 pieces are left over. You can't really swap between these once you're done because, like I said, these are stickers. These ones you could swap. If you wanted to clip these off and then put them on there, you could just disassemble the kit and put those ones in. But for all the rest of the shell units, you do have to make a choice. Do you want the black or do you want the rainbow? Personally, I think the rainbow looks really cool, so I went with that. But you do have the option included in the box if that's what you want to do. And you saw all the rest of those were green foils, some of which we saw on the rifle and on the shield. So let's get in close at the detail one more time. So let's get on that head. Some really nice color separation there. On the head, you got the little red on the chin as well as the gray color separated Vulcans and the little bit of yellow there in the cheeks. Gorgeous V-fin with even more one of those stickers there under a clear part in the middle of the head, and the green for the head cameras as well. Really nice rainbow permit score there in the chest. It does look a little dull on the underside of the chest, but you can still see it. It does catch the light a little bit, but that piece there in the front catches the light really beautifully. Same with these shoulder ones. I almost think that this color of gray that they picked is a little too dark. I almost would have liked to see a slightly more clear version so that they have more of a chance to catch the light. But I do like that these are all covered by clear parts so that these stickers have no chance of coming off. Some yellow there in the shoulders. You do see the shell units are on the back of the shoulder as well. And there's actually a bit where you can see I didn't clean up that nub quite as well as I should have, but it is what it is. You get more cameras down here. At least I think those are cameras on the bottom of the arms. They're green like the head cameras. And the arms are just done completely in white with some of that gray inner frame poking through and the gray for the hands. Little tiny bit more red there on the waist right at the side skirts. More shell units in the crotch and in the hips. And again, just like the arms, the legs are primarily white with some of the gray poking through, and a little bit of red there on the toes. A little bit more yellow on the back of the thighs and on the backpack here. You got the butt flap with these little moving pieces right there. On the back here, we have this ball joint for connecting the the variable rod rifle, as well as these thrusters that are on ball joints as well. Here's where the beam sabers go. These unfortunately do not move, unlike the Tamashii Nation's figure version. These don't move at all, they're just static, but that's just where they go for when you're not using the beams. And yeah, I think that's about it. Before we get into the accessories, we're going to do articulation real quick because the accessories have a lot of stuff to go through. So at the head here, we do have a ball joint at the top of the head and a inset ball joint at the base of the neck. So you of course get all your rotation, and the neck actually moves a little bit with the rotation. You can look up that far and using that neck joint down that far, which is pretty good. Shoulders are on ball joints here in the torso, as well as a little extra ball joint for pulling out that butterfly joint there. And you can see that ball joint can move up and down as well. The shoulder pad here can move up. Here at the arm, you can move up as well. So you can get the arm all the way up, which is really nice. You get a lot of range there. Biceps have a full rotation, single jointed elbows that bend just a little bit over 90 degrees, ball joints at the wrists. You can see here in the torso, you do have some articulation. You get a little tiny bit of pivot, not really any arch, but you do get a good crunch on that. And you can see that piece is smooth in there that gets revealed to cover that up. So that looks really, really cool, as well as, of course, waist rotation. The skirts here, this one doesn't move other than that little bit of side-to-side movement that I showed you before, but there's no up and down. These side skirts here move up about that far. The front skirts on the runner are together, but of course, if you snip them off, you can move them individually, which I always recommend you do. It can feel a little scary the first couple times you do it, but you get used to how it feels, and then you get individual side skirts or front skirts, which is always nicer. Hips are a little limited, a little bit more limited than I'd like. If you go with the front skirt, it only goes up about that far. If you kind of move around it a little bit more, you can get up that far. Back, again, only about that far if you bump into the back skirt, but if you move it out around it, you can get more. Hips can move out to the side, little less than full right angle, mostly because this shell unit piece actually goes around the entire hip, so it just can't move out any further than that, but that's pretty good. Thigh swivel, again, is blocked by armor, but you do get a little bit of movement there. The knees bend at a double joint that far, which is pretty good. You can see that armor on the inside there. Everything's all covered up. These are C-clips, but they're covered up by other parts, so they all have no chance of coming out, unlike the ankles, which are also on C-clips. And this isn't as bad as my aerial, but I have had these come off at times. This is the only part of the kit that's not super solid, but for the ankle, you can kick that far forward, that far back. Then the front armor here is on a ball joint. The toe is also on a ball joint, so you can get a little bit of upward motion, a lot of downward motion, and of course it can pivot. And then the heel is on a peg, so that can pivot as well. And this gray part for the heel can flip down for the the bit on form. So you do get quite a bit of articulation out of this kit. I'll have a montage at the end of some pictures that I managed to take with this, and I'll probably put those up on Instagram as well. But this kit is super fun to pose, especially you get it on a stand, you get it in the air with that rifle. It's super fun and fluid to pose. It feels awesome, just like the rest of the Witch from Mercury line. Now let's get into those accessories. So we'll start with the escutcheon and how this works. Unfortunately, there's no way to store this on the back like the aerial had, but there are slots in either arm that you can just take this tab and tab that in. As far as I can find, again, I haven't actually gotten to where the Calibarn shows up in Witch from Mercury, unfortunately, but as far as I'm able to find, the Calibarn never actually uses a shield in the anime. The bit staves for the Calibarn are only ever shown either flying around it or in the bit on form. So the shield is just kind of a bonus carryover from this being the same as the aerial rebuild shield. But the main gimmick of these, of course, is that you can split it apart into the bit staves. So we'll show you how to do that real quick. So these top white pieces pop off. This is very similar to the original aerial shield because, again, this is the aerial rebuilds. So you take those off. You can take this middle section here and pop that off. Things flying all over the place. So you pop that one off. This one here pops off. And then these ones come off like this. Take this entire piece, pop off this gray section, and then you can split these and then take these gray sections and pop these off. So you do get 11 bit staves here to use with the kit. And then this gray piece here doesn't have anywhere else to go, and this just is kind of the extra bracket piece to make the shield. So you can just kind of put that in a baggie off to the side if you like. There's nothing you can do about that. The aerial had the same thing. So if you had the Witcher Mercury like bit stave stand that's shown here in the manual, I would love to get this set at some point because this display for both the Calibarn and the aerial would just look phenomenal with all the bit staves flying around. That looks really cool to me. But you can use it with that and get some pretty cool dynamic bit staves poses. Obviously, if I don't have that, I can't really do that with these. They just kind of have to sit on the ground. But what you can do is the bit on form, where all of the bit staves attach to the Calibarn to make a powered up form, which is really cool looking. We'll get into that right now. So we'll start with these pieces here. So what these ones do is there's these little pegs on them and they plug into these ports here in the hips. So you just plug that on. That's what that looks like going in there. That's not that one. Where's the other one? There it is. Pop this one in here like that. Next, we will get these ones here. So these plain white ones, and these plug in with the wider end towards the bottom. They plug into these slots here in the shoulders like this. That one's a little loose. I usually put this one on this side. And get the other one here. Slot this one in. This shaped piece plugs into the slot on to the right arm, and on the other side you get the piece with the green sticker, and that plugs in on the left arm. And now these these five are pretty interesting. So you get this white one here tabs onto the butt flap just like that. Then these gray ones, these don't hold in super well, but they kind of slot into the butt flap like this. And they're supposed to kind of thoop into place and click in. So you can just take them and they slide in. And they are supposed to kind of hold in there. They hold a little bit, but these are the ones that are most likely to fall out. Then in a similar way, these white ones, there's these little flaps here on these thrusters that open up like this. You take this, slide it in this way, and you can see that's loose in there, but when you close that flap up, now it stays in place. If you pull on it, it's still going to come out, but until you actually, mess with it, it's going to stay in really well, and because of that closing flap, it looks super clean. So there is the Calibarn's bit on form, fully complete. I forgot you actually are supposed to flip down these gray sections here, which actually do help with it standing because these are just serve as extra heels. So that makes it even more stable than it already was. But you can see that just bulks up your mobile suit a little bit, gives it more stuff on its back, as well as bulking up the arms and the hips a little bit more. So I really dig this form. This is how I'm going to display mine on the shelf. I display my aerial with its shield, so I'm going to display this one in its bit on form, just because I think that looks really cool. And it doesn't affect the articulation hardly at all. The only small little areas where it does is sometimes, because the shoulder pads are bigger now, they like run into the head or can like look a little strange, so you have to kind of pose around that. And these pieces do kind of get in the way of the hips. Even with the hip flaps up, they get in the way of the outward motion quite a bit. So you have to kind of work around those when it comes to posing. There are some ways to mitigate it depending on your pose, but that is where you're going to have your most ways of it not working as well, is right there in the hips. which is a little unfortunate, but that's fine. Next, we're gonna attach on our variable rod rifle. So you can see you have this entire bar section here. And now how this is going to work is there is a peg that goes into here. And then on that peg, there's a ball joint. So this part's on a ball joint. This part here is on a peg. So this can rotate. And then this is on a peg. So this can move like that. So there is quite a bit of articulation in this arm here. So you can try to get it in basically any pose that you want. Of course, you can flip out its handles. This attaches back here onto that ball joint there on the backpack. Like this, plugs in nice and solid. And then what you just need to do is position the hand so that it goes into this handle. There's no actual friction to it holding this handle. It just kind of loosely wraps its hand around that, which is fine because this bar is really strong. So I've never had an instance of this drooping or falling out or anything. That bar holds it in place super solid. And then you can just kind of leave that closed on the back. I like to open it up when I have it in a flight pose. That's how that looks there. This is the kind of weapon that you really are going to have to practice posing with. It's very long and kind of awkward to try to pose using that arm along with the mobile suit's arm. So this is a strange weapon. It's going to take some practice to get used to posing with it. But trust me, once you do, it looks absolutely fantastic. I really, really like how this looks. And I think this is a super unique and cool look for a Gundam. So let's do some comparisons now. I'm going to bring in first the Aerial as our main mobile suit. I have Aerial here in its bit on form so we can get a bit of a direct comparison. I'll insert something showing the two of them in their standard forms as well so we can see that. But I think these two look really cool together, and I love seeing the evolution of Suleta's first mobile suit up to her final one. So I think these look really cool together, and I like how round this one is compared to how much more blocky this one looks. So this is really cool. I enjoy this a lot. So here is our quick comparison between the Calibarn and the Aerial in their regular forms. Very similar to their bit on forms, just again without those bit staves attached. And we'll also include in here, in case anyone asks, the comparison of the Calibarn shield with the Aerial's shield. And unfortunately, no, these are not compatible with each other. The Calibarn's is a tab and the Aerial's is a peg. But there is that comparison in case anyone wanted to see that. For a different style of mobile suit comparison from the same series, here it is next to a De Lanza. This is Guel's De Lanza from the same Witch from Mercury line. Of course, this one being made by Jaturk Heavy Industries. So very different style here, but I think, you know, seeing this is pretty cool. It's a good way of getting a size comparison. This is one of my favorite Witch from Mercury kits. I really like the De Lanza. So there is another Witch from Mercury comparison. And just for some other random Gundam comparisons from other universes, let's do some Cosmic Era. Here's the entry grade Strike, so you can get an idea of how big the Calibarn is compared to the Strike Gundam. Let's get a smaller mobile suit in. I brought out the Wing Gundam. Ignore that this is the Sky variant. I don't have the regular one on hand right now, so but here it is next to the Wing Gundam. And for a slightly larger comparison, because this is one of my favorite high grades, I thought we should compare it to one of my other favorite high grades. It's in a pose right now, but ignore that. This is the Moon Gundam. This is a bit of a bigger mobile suit for 1/144th scale. So just to give you an idea of how big the Calibarn actually is compared to some other mobile suits from other universes. One final thing before we go is I wanted to show the stand in action. So the action base hole for the Calibarn is just underneath here with no cover or anything. I tend to find it's easiest if you spread out the butt flap a little bit before inserting this, but you can just plug that in underneath and there you go. As I said, I like that this is included. It's really nice for those flying poses, especially using this variable rod rifle when it's extended like this. Looks really cool up in the air on a stand. The problem with this stand is, number one, it's not very stable, especially because this mobile suit has a lot of weight on the one side. You can probably see it kind of leaning towards my left here because it is, you know, and I've had this stand kind of fall over like that on me because this is a V shape, so there's not a lot back here. This will of course depend on the pose, how useful this is, but you saw right there, it just falls right over. So it's also not very high off the ground. I tend to prefer my flying mobile suits up in the air a little bit more. But of course, as always, that's just the included one. You can get other stands, like this is an Action Base 5. You can just plug that in with the adapter, and there you go. There is a much better stand for it. But as I said in the beginning, it's nice that it's included with this, even if it's not the best stand you can use. It's nice to just have some kind of option right out of the box. So, just in case you don't have an Action Base 5 like I do. That's going to conclude my look here at the high-grade Gundam Calibarn from Witch from Mercury. As I said, I really had a lot of fun with this kit. The build is super solid, barely anything loose or falling off. It's, you know, a perfect build. The build was fun to do. I built it with a couple of friends in the room with me at the time. It was a great, just casual, fun build. These Witch from Mercury kits are very smartly designed in that respect, and they're super fun to build. If you haven't, definitely can recommend this one as an option to start out. It's great as a figure. It's one of the most solid mobile suits I have. It's just a really fun one to pose around and to just mess with and get in different poses, especially if you get a stand and you get it up in the air. Super great, super fun. And I love the look of that rainbow permit score. Of course, let's get into some negatives. That rainbow permit score being one of them. In the show, this mobile suit primarily uses a red permit score, so the only two options being out of the box, the rainbow one and the deactivated black. Not great. Would have been cool if we got the red in there as well, especially since it would have only been a couple of stickers to give us that option. But that is just how it is sometimes. P Bandai kits always need to happen, and that is how they gave us the red one. So if you want the red one, have fun trying to get the P Bandai version of this kit. But as for the standard one, I'll have a link in the description if you want to purchase one of these for yourself. I don't know if it's in stock on Amazon, but I'll include Amazon and some other website if it's not on there. I'll include something down there for you to get this kit. I found this at a local shop, so that's how I got mine, but of course they are available wherever else you can find Gunpla. I would get it soon though, because these kits are seeming to run out. I'm not having as easy of a time finding these Witch from Mercury kits as I used to, so I would say while you can, get your hands on one, because like I said, this is a kit you do not want to miss. This is a fantastic kit. Highly, highly, highly recommended. Also down in the description is going to be a link to my Instagram right above that subscribe button and the like button. So please like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Gundam reviews. I haven't done one in a while, so I would like to get some feedback on if you thought this one was better than the last one. I had some fun making this video, and let me know in the comments. Did you guys enjoy Witch from Mercury? Are there any other mobile suits that you really liked from that series that you'd like to see me cover on this channel? I would be totally down to get some more. These are great kits. I would love to do more videos if you guys want to see them. But that's it from me. I've been Anovia, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.